is Christianity true? And how would you know it one way or the other? That's the question we're here to answer today. Of course, our apologist will get nowhere remotely close because none of them ever do. They just assume it and go on from there. And that's not how intelligent, rational, critically minded people operate. And I think that explains a lot, don't you? So, we're going to look at a channel called Faith-Based Apologetics, and I think I see your problem right there. Faith is irrelevant. Faith is pointless. Faith actually gets in the way of coming to rational conclusions. Anyone can have faith in anything, true or not. Maybe you might want to rethink that. Anyhow, the channel wants to explain how we can know if Christianity is true or not by essentially not explaining a damn thing. Because what can they really do? So let's go find out.
A great question that we get as Christians all the time is, how do we know that Christianity is true? How do we know that it is the correct religion?
And from a channel called Faith-Based Apologetics, I don't think he's going to get anywhere remotely close to the truth. Of course, that's hardly a surprise, because, as we all know, these people aren't going into it concerned at all with the facts. They're only doing it because they get an emotional buzz out of it. It's why they're using faith in the first place, because faith is a useless waste of time. So, I'm not going to be holding my breath here, expecting this guy to come up with a reasonable answer. But hey, might as well give him a chance, right?
If you look at all the other religions out there, Buddhism, Hinduism, and so on and so forth, what makes Christianity true?
What makes you think that any religion is true? And this is a question I've asked a lot of theists over the years, and a lot of them, alright, let's be honest, none of them have any answers at all. Some religion has to be true, right? Well, no, that's not remotely the case. They're all doing the exact same thing, existing for feels and not for reals. And that's a general problem no matter what religion you're talking about. There's no reason at all to think that any God of any kind actually exists, and so long as you're just looking to find a God because it gives you an emotional woody, you're never going to be in the same ballpark as truth. The time to believe in a God is when you can objectively demonstrate that a God is real, and the religious are nowhere remotely close to that.
Now you can try and explain away all the other religions and their differences or similarities, but yet the question will still remain, what is it that makes Christianity true?
The only thing that could is if the claims made by Christianity, and you're welcome to play around with the formulation if you like, after all, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of flavors of Christianity floating around out there, and none of them are demonstrably so. But the only way that you could conceivably do it is to actually produce objectively verifiable evidence that the specific claims of Christianity are actually so in objective, testable, demonstrable reality. And that goes for any religion, and all religions fail because none of them have actually managed to do that. So you're kind of screwed unless you can prove you're right. Not claim it, not believe it, certainly not have faith in it, prove it. How about you get around to that?
Something that I would like to point out about Christianity that makes Christianity extremely different than any other religion out there is Christianity is the only religion that gives the problem, the solution, if you will, to sin through the cross.
Big fucking deal. That's just a bald assertion that you still haven't demonstrated is so, just like every other religion has their own bald assertions that they just make up and don't prove to be true. It's like Scientology saying it has to be true because it says you can solve all of your problems by taking care of evil body thetans. Yep, so what? You still haven't proven that evil body thetans are real, any more than any other religion can prove that sin is a meaningful concept. Ultimately, this is just arguing that you're right because you really want to be right. And that's just stupid.
All other religions out there, they don't have that solution. Now, what do I mean by this? When Jesus died on the cross, he became sin who knew no sin.
Well, that's your claim. Now back it up, because this is really where virtually all theists go completely off the rails. They believe a thing is true, and because they believe it, they can't imagine that they're wrong. That doesn't mean that they're right. I don't care what you claim. I care what you can prove, and these people are piss poor at proving anything at all. So we can put this guy up on a wall of screens, kind of like in the Matrix, where a whole bunch of people are saying the same damn thing, just with their own particular take on religion, and expecting it to make any sense. Well, Krishna will save you. Well, Thor will save you. Well, the flying spaghetti monster will save you. All because they are perfect and wonderful and special in whatever way their believers want to think that they are. But you know what none of them can actually do? You know what none of them demonstrably are? Real. None of them are demonstrably real. These are just stories told in ancient books or passed around like fucking candy. It doesn't matter how much you like a story. The only way a story should be believed is when the story can be demonstrated to be objectively true. And I have to get really slow at the end there because these people aren't that bright. Why don't you idiots get on that?
So, in other words, he took my sin upon himself and nailed that sin to a cross to become that sacrifice and atonement for that sin. Past, present, and future sins.
Really? Prove it. Because I think we're just going to get another blind believer running around making absurd claims, insisting it's true on faith, and expecting everyone else to just roll over like, well, of course it's true. This lunatic says so. Except that's not how any of this works. Your feelings don't make facts. Facts are facts, and your feelings don't mean a damn thing. No one should believe anything until that thing has been objectively demonstrated to be so, and religion, Christianity included, simply hasn't been. So stop making a complete fool of yourself and try doing something useful. I don't think we ought to hold our breath, though, thinking that he will.
No other religion out there solves that problem. When Jesus died on that cross, he eliminated our sin. Now we are still sinful people, but he paid the price for that sin. That debt has been paid as long as we accept the free gift.
And how exactly do you know that? Not believe, not have faith, no. Because the answer we all know is, you don't. And if you go through the comments on his videos, pretty much everyone is wondering the same thing. And as should be no surprise, guess who hasn't responded to very many comments, at least as of when I'm writing this. You guessed it, it's our intrepid apologist. Why? Because they don't actually want to talk to their detractors. They're scared of us. In fact, the only place where I saw him say anything to anyone was when going back and forth just asserting that sin was a real thing and ignoring all calls to back it up. Unless it's a mutual religious masturbation circle, they're just not that interested. I'm sure he's not going to respond to me either, Mostly because I don't think he can come up with anything intelligent to say that doesn't rely on his fifis and faith. What the hell else do these people have?
But if you look at all the other religions out there, you actually have to earn, quote unquote, your salvation.
And you already said that in Christianity, your version of Christianity anyhow, you have to earn your salvation too. A truly free gift requires absolutely nothing of you. Christianity requires you to accept the supposed sacrifice of Jesus. You have to acknowledge it. You have to accept Jesus into your heart. You have to believe in God. If you don't, then you're going to hell. And that's not a free gift. That's bullshit. If it were a free gift that everyone got regardless of what they did without having to do anything in return, everyone would be going to heaven. You wouldn't even have to be a Christian. Satanists would be going to heaven. And I mean the real kind of Satanists that actually worship the devil, not those angsty kids who are trying to look cool. Hell would be empty because 100% of all humans who have ever lived would automatically get into the other place. But that's not how it works, is it? Yeah, free gift my ass.
Even sorry, but Catholicism, you have to earn your salvation. You constantly have to keep doing something to earn your salvation. Is what I mean by that. For example, with Catholicism, you have to constantly go to a priest and ask for forgiveness. You have to do it. What makes me different than a Catholic? Well, to be honest, I don't have to go to a priest to ask for forgiveness. I just go to Jesus.
You shouldn't have to go anywhere or do anything if it's actually a free gift. You're just complaining about where they want you to go. That's only because you're lazy. And that's not impressive.
In other religions like Islam, you have to hope that Allah is merciful enough on you, that your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds. So there's no security there. But that's what makes Christianity so beautiful. In Christianity, we have solace and peace in the fact and assurance that Jesus took the punishment of my sin. Therefore, I don't have to worry about that. I'm not burdened by that.
Then you shouldn't give shit one about what you do if you're already pre-forgiven. You also shouldn't have to apologize, as I've already said. If Jesus already died for any sin that you could conceivably commit, then you're golden, right? Go off and rape and pillage and murder, and you'll get off scot-free. I mean, sure, other people might object, but God can get you off of that, right? Oh wait, he can't. He doesn't actually do shit, does he? I guess that explains why prison entry statistics show that the religious are absurdly overrepresented and atheists are absurdly underrepresented, right? Because we are just better people than the religious are.
I mean, yes, there is accountability for your sin and to show you like, hey, this is how much you've been forgiven. And the reason why I don't have to worry about condemnation or judgment for my sin is because Jesus paid that price with his blood, and I've accepted his free gift of salvation.
That free gift that you have to constantly kiss his ass for, right? I don't think you know what a free gift is. But this is all just con job rhetoric, right? It's words without meaning said to people without understanding so that you can get a plate full of money without taxes. Kinda convenient there, right? And this is exactly why the religious are so terrified to talk to us. Just like this guy won't talk to his detractors. Because we're going to ask them the hard questions, and people like this, they don't have any worthwhile answers. That's why they keep their discussions to people that already buy into their religious bullshit, hook, line, and sinker, because they're not going to ask anything challenging. That's how these scams work, if you notice. Just saying.
So therefore, I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about a God who I may catch on the wrong day. So my answer to when people ask me, why do I think Christianity is true? The answer is because Christianity is the only religion that has solved the sin problem on its own.
But that's not the question that you asked. The title of your video is, How Can We Know That Christianity is True? You even capitalized no. So no, you haven't remotely answered that question. You've just made a complete fool of yourself. You've given a theologically comforting non-answer. And since you're only making videos for the crazy people who already buy into this bullshit, you're not remotely concerned. Because you don't give a damn either. And that's pathetically sad.
Not by a way of man, but through the way of God coming down in the flesh, through Jesus, and taking care of it himself.
Really? And how the hell do you know any of that? Not what you believe, not what you have faith in, what you can prove. Because that's just a load of religious hornswoggle that relies on ignorance, not intelligence. This is why all of these religious claims fall apart, because the religious just aren't that bright. How is this any better than the Scientologist making claims about solving the body Thetan problem through a long series of auditing? Is it any better than the Hindu way to salvation through devotion, bhakti? Because all three of these, all of the ways suggested by any religious people at all, it's all just emotion-laden nonsense, right up until any of the believers can objectively demonstrate that any of it is true. And none of them can. Not a one. So it's all crap. That's not exactly a surprise.
Remember, be like Jesus.
Dead or a myth? I don't know. Because you can't even prove that Jesus ever existed in the first place. And that was it. That's where the video ends, other than 30 seconds of a blank screen. I mean, this was just sad, but I suppose we shouldn't be that surprised. It's also not a surprise that the vast majority of people in the comments are telling him what a frickin' idiot he is, and his downvote to upvote ratio is, well, it's bad. Really, really bad. And that's not because we're mean. It's because these videos are just laughably stupid and objectively awful. The theist lacks the capacity to step back and look at their beliefs from an outside point of view. If they can look at Scientology, for example, and realize just how dumb that looks to an outsider, then they have to realize just how dumb their own faith looks to someone who doesn't share it. But they can't do that, can they? They don't even try. It's why I've got so many hundreds of videos on the channel that puts these morons on display. They're utterly clueless. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Nobody is concerned about your faith. Your faith is utterly meaningless. Put up or shut up. And of course, they can do neither. And the fact that they can't recognize that they ought to, that's pathetically sad. But that seems to be the case near universally, right? And why is that? What is it that these people are doing so horribly wrong? Put your thoughts in the comments. It won't help the theologically clueless, but it might help us to understand. Good luck. I think you're gonna need it.
Boom, 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 boom,